You know, whoever did it, man, they knew what they were doing. Because they would have been. Yeah, that was somebody who had a military experience, man.
He told me he was going to do it. Javon told me he was going to do it too. So
They're fucking,
Michael won't pass away, you know, all that stuff. And, you know, that's what people do it. They're not used to spirits, you know?
So the Jewish priests in the Bible used to do animal sacrifices. I guess they did like oxen and stuff.
Yeah.
Just imagine that. Just imagine that you go to church and the priest slits the throat of a big old ox. Like I think they did like 10,000 oxen one time. I don't know, some crazy shit. So like, I asked God about animal sacrifices, and he said that the early Jews were primitive. Apparently, it was like to show love or something like that. Some crazy shit, but I guess God honored it. Apparently, he gave them some kind of credit for doing that shit. So like, I use my head, and if you're gonna make an offering to God, use your head. What does he want, right? So I think write hymns, or tell jokes or comics or something like that. You know, like entertain him. Like you gotta do something of work and effort. You know, like make something creative that like entertains him. God said when you do an offering, it's fair barter. You know what barter is? That means you can say, no, I'm not going to trade. The trick is you have to get to know God. You have to get to know God, to love God, to obey God. So like if you don't know what he likes, then you're going to not do so good at bartering, right? So like, let's think about this animal sacrifice thing, because it can't be that crazy, you know what I'm saying? Like how could they be so, like there's got to be something to it, right? So I got to thinking about this, and you know, the Bible says that the Jewish priests are, that no one that has an injury to their stones can be a priest. Basically, these people are kind of brutal. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're slitting these animals' throats, everybody was doing it back when you slaughtered your own food. You know, like 100 years ago, housewives would wring the necks of chickens. You know, we live in kind of a different world than it's always been. You know, traditionally, man has had to kill his meat. You know, this world is a little bit unusual. Like we're not as brutal as we're supposed to be. You know, because man's supposed to be a little more, you know, manly. You know what I'm saying? When you got to kill shit, that's kind of it affects you. You know, we're a little bit unnatural. You know, we need to get a little more brutal. So like, I was just thinking before World War II, the infantry and stuff, they were all like farmers and stuff. You know, if you take a suburb person that's never killed anything and put them in war or something, that's kind of messed up. You know, so I think. Now, some people are saying, "Oh, actually, God's a vegetarian." Well, you know, when Christianity doesn't contradict the Old Testament, you know that, right? Christianity is compatible with the Old Testament, right? So, like, if someone comes up to you and says, "Oh, actually, God's a vegetarian," you're going, "That's a little bit hard to reconcile with like the priests doing like slaughtering bulls. That's a little bit weird, you know." So like the Pope comes out, "Oh, God loves peace, peace, peace." You go, I can swear like in the Old Testament. So is it just me or is that? So I figured it out. There's a time for love, a time for hate, a time to hold close, a time to tear the stones apart. Jesus, we only get half the story, you know. Jesus, half his shit is like, I come to bring the sword, to set mother against son-in-law, you know, all that shit. He says they're gonna separate the wheat and the chaff, kill the goats, and you got to take care of the vineyard, you know. If you're the king, you got to take care of the vineyard, you know. Like if you love God, you're like, okay, here's the deal. If you love your neighbor, you're like, you know what? We're gonna make it real good for mankind. If you love God, you don't make it good for mankind, you make it good for God, right? If you love neighbor, you're like, we're going to make it real good for mankind. nice, comfortable living. If you love God, you're like, we're going to put every creation to bring maximum glory. All the degenerate shit we want to get rid of, you know. Like God, like if the shit's getting degenerate, you know, like God said bees are spoiled rotten, right? So like in the wild state, God said pets are homo. He's disgusted with how tame and dependent they are. Like a dog. A wild dog was this cool creation created by God that could survive in the wild. And like when it was the original dogs offered, they earned their food. Now it's just like a leech that takes the place of a child, you know. And God's a little bit upset. So like, if you want to love God, one of the things to do is to put it back the way He made it, you know, or like respect how He created it, you know. Like the Fighting Irish, right? They get drunk, they fight, shit like that. Like that's the nature of them, right? So like if you take them and like you denature them and all that shit, you go chopping the balls off of males and like just mutilating nature, right? Like that's not how the man's supposed to be. That's not how the Irish is supposed to be. That's not how He made it. You know, you're doing it wrong. You're offending the Creator. You know, you got to put it back to the way the Creator made it. You know, that's all fucked up. You know, I think if He's disgusted with how tame and dependent pets are, just think about man. It's like I'm disgusted with how tame and dependent men are. You know, it's all fucked up. He's disgusted. Go like slaughter. The Pope, your penance is to take a sledgehammer, kill a fucking cow. Like you want to be high priest? Go, Pope, go take a sledgehammer and kill a cow. That's your penance, Pope. Like do it publicly. Take a sledgehammer, kill a cow. You want to be high priest? Do it.
Bro, can you please knock it off?
Okay.
There's people here.